Hi, I'm Austin, and welcome to AMC Metals. This is the Gold Shack, my workshop, where I'm learning, experimenting, buying jewelry, refining precious metals, and hopefully one day producing professionally stamped bullion. Figured the best place to start, show you guys around. So this is what I call my cold table. This is where most of the jewelry starts its journey through the Gold Shack. When I bring material in, this is where I sort it, test it for purity, weigh it, clean it in the ultrasonic cleaner, and remove any unwanted material before it moves further into the refining process. I've got my scales here because weight is obviously a huge part of working with precious metals, and this is also where I keep a lot of the testing supplies I use to figure out exactly what I'm working with. But basically, this table is where a lot of the detective work happens. Before anything becomes a clean piece of precious metal or eventually a finished bar, I need to know what I have, what it weighs, what purity it is, and what needs to be removed. Over here, you can see my silver cell. That's where I take silver that I've already processed and purified even further through electro refining. I'm actually working on improving that whole setup right now. Once I've tested, weighed, and prepared the material over at the cold table, this is where the actual refining process begins. This is the fume box. I built this area specifically to keep the chemical side of the process contained and separate from the rest of the Gold Shack, with ventilation pulling fumes away from the workspace. Inside, I've got a double burner. It gives me two heated work areas, along with Corning glassware that I use throughout the stages of processing and refining precious metals. And over there, it's my magnetic stirrer, which lets me keep solutions moving consistently without having to manually stir them, and that becomes really useful during longer parts of the process. In the back, that's my 2-gallon silver nitrate vessel. That's part of the silver side of what I do here, and you'll definitely see a lot more of that setup in the future videos as I continue to improve and expand my silver refining process. I also have a vacuum line running into the box, which I use my filtration setup or Buckner filter when I need to separate solids from solution and move material to the next stage. So if the cold table is where I figure out what I have, this is where I start turning it into what I actually want. And this is probably where some of the most visually interesting parts of the channel are going to happen. Once the refining process is finished and I've recovered the precious metals, we move over here to what I call the hot table. This is where I do all my high temperature work. I melt gold and silver, pour bars, make shot, and this is also where I incorporate karat gold to prepare it for further refining. The entire working surface is built up with heat-resistant fire brick, which gives me a dedicated area for working with torches and molten metal while helping to protect the bench underneath. I use ceramic melting dishes in different sizes, depending on how much material I'm working with, along with borax as a flux and graphite rods for working with the molten metal. Right now, my main heat source is MAP gas. This setup is still pretty simple, but it lets me melt smaller batches of gold and silver, make shot, and pour finished bars right here in the Gold Shack. So that's the Gold Shack. It's a small setup right now, but the goal is to grow this into a real precious metals business. And I'm going to document the entire journey along the way. So if you want to learn how to find, buy, and refine gold and silver, hit subscribe and come along for the ride. I'll see you on the next one.